Good evening and many thanks for always joining me for RwandaTV News. My name is William Evans. Now in the studios I'm joined by cyclists from Kenya that will be joining us later on in the bulletin, of course, to tell us their story about how they are in here and how they're part of the history that is happening right in Kigali. But before that, let's have a look at the headlines. Rwanda and Azerbaijan strengthen their bilateral ties by signing 5 cooperation agreements across key sectors, while Defense Minister Juvenal Marizamunda has urged Rwandans living in China to strengthen their unity as Rwandans. On the international scene, cyber attacks caused disruption to electronic systems at major European airports. Of course, it's always a pleasure having you join us for RwandaTV News. Now the news in detail. On Saturday, Rwanda and Azerbaijan strengthened their bilateral ties by signing 5 cooperation agreements across key sectors, an achievement President Paul Kagame emphasized should be fully leveraged to drive shared prosperity. Take a look at the report.
As part of his second day of his visit to Azerbaijan, President Paul Kagame first visited the Alley of Honor, where he laid a wreath on the tomb of the national leader of Azerbaijan, Heydar Aliyev, and Zarifa Aliyev. President Kagame also laid a wreath at the Alley of Martyrs, a memorial dedicated to those who lost their lives in Azerbaijan's struggle for freedom, independence, and territorial integrity. Later on, the head of state was welcomed at the Zugulba Presidential Palace by the President Ilham Aliyev of Azerbaijan, where they held a tete-a-tete meeting to discuss bilateral cooperation in key areas of mutual benefit. President Kagame and his Azerbaijan counterpart, President Aliyev, addressed the press following the exchange of 5 agreements between the two nations in areas of agriculture, education, air services, trade, and public service delivery.
There are many similarities, Mr. President, between Rwanda and Azerbaijan, and I think we can build on those similarities and enhance cooperation, development. Thank you for accepting that to happen, and we are going to be guided by the many visits and efforts and discussions and understanding of each other that have already taken place, and thanks to a number of exchanges that have already happened by your government's officials and our own who have visited Baku, and there has been a lot of learning as to what can be achieved through this cooperation. We want to undertake continued efforts and gain momentum in making sure that these cooperation efforts are productive for all of us.
President Kagame emphasized the need to leverage the cooperation agreements for shared prosperity.
At the same time, President, just to know that you have friends in Africa, in Rwanda, and so we want to use this opportunity of our cooperation and friendship between you and myself and the two countries to move fast forward in our achievements of prosperity.
President Kagame also toured the State Agency for Public Service and Social Innovations. The agency provides 28 service centers across the country to ensure the efficient and coordinated implementation of services provided by Azerbaijani state bodies and private organizations. During this visit, the Rwanda Development Board and the State Agency for Public Service and Social Innovation, ASAN, signed an implementation plan on cooperation in establishing advanced public service delivery mechanism.
Now, the Defense Minister Juvenal Marizamunda has urged Rwandans living in China to strengthen their unity as Rwandans. He also emphasized that Rwanda's security, as well as its relations with other countries, especially with China, remains strong. We do have details. In a meeting with Rwandans living in China, Defense Minister Juvenal Marizamunda assured them that Rwanda's security is stable. He clarified that the challenges in DRC are not Rwanda's problems, but rather internal issues between the Congolese government and its citizens, particularly the M23 group, who took up arms to fight for their rights. The Rwandans in China, who are majorly students, say they have a lot to learn and contribute back home.
They told us about the security of the country as well as the security of the region, and as long as they told us like what they need to us as a youth. Here in China, we are learning a lot. Most of us, we are students. Around 95% they are students here in China. So we have a lot to learn and we implement them in Rwanda.
Defense Minister Juvenal Marizamunda also revealed that Rwanda has formalized existing relations with China that have been in place for a long time in various domains.
So we signed a cooperation agreement between the People's Republic of China and Rwanda, mainly to formalize the existing relations which have been in place for a long time in various domains. But now we have formalized it in defense cooperation because we have been working together since many years. We have been sending our personnel for training here. We have been having some expertise from China. That now we have formalized that relationship, and I can say that we are going now to work in a formal manner and have more and deeper exchanges and increase the scope of our cooperation.
The students expressed optimism, saying there is a lot Rwandans can learn from China that can contribute to Rwanda's growth and development.
It is showing positive impact in the future because we have a lot to learn from China as a country came from very far and now it is the second economic country in the world.
Currently, the Rwandan community in China is between 1,000 and 1,200, most of which are university students. Now, cycling enthusiasts in Kigali city attended the social riding race, joining UCI participants from around the world just hours before it officially kicks off this Sunday. Enora Glandis has a report.
With only a few hours left before the World Cycling Championship begins in Rwanda, participating athletes held their final training sessions to continue familiarizing themselves with Kigali's roads and Rwanda's climate, some of them experiencing it for the first time. Those who took part in today's event, including both Rwandans and foreigners, expressed great excitement about how the day went ahead of the championship. I'm so happy to be attending the social rides today. It's very exciting that the World Cycling Championship is taking place in Africa for the first time, and especially here in Rwanda. After more than 100 years of being hosted in other countries, we are glad that so many people have come from different nations to attend this event. It's a very wonderful opportunity to meet others and have fun. I have a bicycle because I love doing sports. It helps me stay in good health. We are here in Kigali for a social ride together with other people who also love sports, and we are very excited. The Minister of Sports, Nelly Mukazaire, said that today's event was organized to bring together casual cycling enthusiasts and professional athletes so that everyone can enjoy the spirit of the championship.
This is
the final day of preparations for the championship, as it will officially begin tomorrow. But today we came together in large numbers for what is called a social ride, meaning that everyone who is not a professional cyclist but loves cycling as a sport gathered here, both young and old, so that we can all enjoy the spirit of cycling in Rwanda and around the world. This World Cycling Championship is being held for the first time ever in Africa and will take place in Rwanda from September 21st to 28th, 2025. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Enora Gladys. I'm now joined by a special group of Kenyan cyclists who pedaled their way from Nairobi to Kigali to be part of the history. Francis and Polycarp, most welcome to RwandaTV News.
Yeah, murakoze cyane.
You've already known some Nyarwanda. Yes,
Yeah.
Francis, most welcome to RTV News.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very proud to be here, and thank you for the welcome.
I know you've had a very tight day, but let's begin from the social race. How was it?
The social ride for me was okay, considering we had tackled a lot of kilometers before. So it was kind of like a warm-up or a session to warm down for the kilometers that we did. Because earlier we had done very, 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 very tough climbs. So for the 15 kilometers, for me it was okay.
Definitely. Francis?
Yeah, for me it was a good experience meeting riders from all nationalities, and also it was an experience to ride around Kigali, which is full of hills, and some of the hills are very difficult, but it was a very nice experience and very, very exciting. Yeah.
Of course, when people hear that you pedaled quite many kilometers, they may not understand exactly what you mean. But I understand you came from Nairobi through Uganda to Kigali. In terms of a distance, how long was that? What are some of the highlights of your journey? When did you set off from Nairobi? When did you reach? How was the entire journey like? I'll begin with Francis. Talk to me about the highlights of
the highlights of the journey were. We were a bit excited about riding, but even though we are excited, there were some experiences that we have never had again. For example, I had a friend who's almost 110 kgs, so he's a big person. So actually, having to see him do the 1,100 kilometers was a little bit challenging for me, thinking about him doing it. But he actually managed to do it, and also the challenges were a bit hard, but we had to endure and make that make an effort to solve them. Because, for example, we had mechanical breakdowns, which we had to sort ourselves, and also sometimes find local mechanics who are able to sort the problems for us. Yeah, thank you.
Paul, it's quite a distance. One would wonder, of course, I understand you came with a big team. One would wonder, why would a team of riders from Kenya consider or take a decision to actually ride all that way, but also endure whatever you had to endure on your way to the UCI?
Okay, first of all, I'd start by saying it was my birthday last month. So one thing that I said, I'll do something different for this year. So for this year, since it was my birthday last month, we had the cycling championships coming in September. So I saw it as a very good opportunity to try something that I had not done before, covering the 1,200 kilometers. So that had been playing in my mind all along, so I passed on that idea to cyclists whom that I knew, and Sam took it up. Then after taking it up, we decided that since another thing is that the cyclist racing will be using bicycles, so the best means of transport then would have been the bicycle, considering it does not give out emissions. So we set out our journey, broke the journey into different kilometers. We took around 6 days. So day one was around 237, then 171, now to the Kenyan border with Tanzania. Then from there we did another long distance, about 180 something kilometers to Nyamikoma. From Nyamikoma, we did 100 kilometers to Mwanza city. From Mwanza, we took a ferry across. Then from the ferry, we did another 160-something to a place called Bwanga in Tanzania. Then after that, we did around 205 kilometers to Rusumo border, which was, I think, for me, that was the toughest day, considering the heat, the hills, and the ongoing road construction. Some of us had to reach the border while we are too dusty. Then from there, we had now the entry into Rwanda, around 155 to 160 kilometers to Kigali, which was also tough. So for me, my experience was the last 2 days were really tough, considering I had not expected that toughness so far. Yeah.
Francis, maybe just a bit about the team. Of course, you're just a representative sample of the entire team that you rode with.
Yeah.
Do you have girls as part of the team? But also, I know it's not your birthday, so most likely, what is the motivation? Why did you choose to come as a team?
Yeah, actually it's a coincidence because this month was my birthday. It was on September 14th was when my birthday was. So cycling on my birthday was exciting, and also the big motivation for me was looking at this World Championship as a World Cup for cycling. And since it has never been held in Africa,
yes,
being the first time, actually it would be very sad for you missing out on this one, because you never know when the next time it will happen. So that was the biggest motivation for me. So I saw it as an opportunity, which when you miss it, you might not be able to get it again. So that was the biggest motivation for me.
Of course, I understand there is Team Kenya as part of the competitions. I want you guys to speak to me about what you see, what you anticipate to happen in the race, but also what this means, especially to the region, East Africa, that now this is really close to home. It could be even Kenya, it could be in Uganda, it could be in Tanzania anytime soon. But for cyclists, what does this mean for this sport to be as close as it is now to the region?
So first of all, we have our first Kenyans participating tomorrow in the individual time trial championships. For the men elite, we have one Ndongo Akeya representing Kenya. Then we have around 3 ladies representing Kenya still at the elite level, and one male junior and one female junior still. So for the experience of the World Cycling Championships coming to the East African region under the umbrella that unites us all as the East African community, I'd say it's a good thing. Considering like before the World Championships, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania had hosted CHAN. So it shows that we as the East African community are able, and we have now the infrastructure to hold such big events. So the World Cycling Championships will serve as a challenge to the rest of the East African community countries to invest a lot into cycling and follow what Rwanda did, take lessons from them, positive, negative, and when they did for the World Cycling Championships, let us have something better, because if it's the first time something that's coming to Africa, of course there's the planning that we've done, and I know here and there you might find some things not hitting in and out, so it's a challenge. The rest of the East African countries should watch, see what Rwanda did, invest in cycling, invest in infrastructure, investing in bikes, coaches, and I'm thinking we have a future as Africa. The world should watch Africa a lot. Yes.
Francis, talk to me about some of the inspiration the young generation might get, the young generation of cyclists, of course, might get from the UCI moments in Kigali.
Yeah. For me, I'd say it's a big opportunity for them to watch out. You know, when you get the pro cyclists coming to your country, you're able to see, and seeing them physically actually motivates you more than seeing them on television. So it's something that they can emulate and also look forward to being pro cyclist because of such an experience being firsthand. So it's a big motivation to them. They can watch and see what happens and also emulate the pro cyclists.
I'll just speak now, just your thoughts on just one of your best moments in Kigali this far, but of course we shall be around to celebrate your birthdays at the end of the week. I'll begin with Polly.
Yes. One thing that I took note of Kigali, coming to the studio, by the way, I cycled up to the studio. the lighting is okay. People are walking freely without worrying who's behind their back or something. The streets are clean, and people follow traffic rules over here. So I think those are the major things that I noted, which I'll tell some of my friends, and probably our country in Kenya will take a lesson here or there from what we've seen.
Francis?
Yeah. For me, I'd say it's more of the planning, because I've been around here and I've walked using my feet and also traveled using my bike. I've been also carried by the motorcycle. I'll say the roads are well planned. The footpaths are well planned. I can say that the urban planning for this place is quite exciting. Yeah, thank you.
And let's not forget something that's major: the people, because the people is what make the country. People are welcoming. That's what makes people to want to come back and back again in Rwanda, and the hashtag Visit Rwanda. So, yeah.
Well, I'm happy you've already gotten your birthday gifts before you even celebrate the birthday. But many thanks for joining us. Of course, we shall be cheering Rwanda team, Kenyan team, African team, because we are one team and making history right in Kigali. Now, to more news, as the world prepares to celebrate the International Day of Peace, which is observed every year on September 21st, Aegis Trust Rwanda is calling on young people to take a greater role in peace-building activities and to encourage their peers to do the same. We do have details. Currently, across the globe, different events threaten peace, including wars, recurring conflicts, hunger, floods, and other challenges, most of which are linked to human actions. In order to reflect on the value of peace, every year, on September 21st, the International Day of Peace is celebrated. This is an important moment to think about what can be done to achieve lasting peace. It is in this spirit that Aegis Trust Rwanda, together with the Peace Ambassadors Network, organized a festival entitled We Are One Peace Festival. Through this, Aegis joins the world in celebrating the International Day of Peace and to raise awareness of it through dance and art. The coordinator of the Peace Ambassadors Network, Arin Hapenzamkosha, spoke about some of the things that can threaten peace.
To
us as peace ambassadors, we see peace in the following ways. Firstly, there is security. Through love and the well-being of others, singling out peace and security, for example, you come to appreciate that there are several initiatives here and there where different people have actually contributed in. For people to have peace, we also encourage them to work hard and develop themselves, because development is a contributor to peace, just like security and other aspects. After identifying these aspects, we organize the festival so that we spread this awareness to others.
The event was mainly attended by youth who had been trained on peace building. Some of those we spoke with shared the contribution they are ready to make in promoting peace.
Young people, especially youths, are encouraged to be cautious, work together, and change their mindset, and also participate in initiatives such as these to foster peace. They should be very cautious and careful not to engage in anything that will affect having full peace, so that we can continue building our nation and its future.
For young people, we can simply say that cooperation, working together, and having a shared understanding of things and a similar goal in mind, all together helps us achieve peace among ourselves as a country and the world at large. The director of Aegis Trust Rwanda, Munyantwari Alphonse, emphasized that meaningful change in building lasting peace begins with the individual. The young people, the parents, and the teachers who were part of this training are identified by being peacemakers or peace builders. They work towards preventing the genocide and its ideology, and preventing all crimes against humanity, and building peace in general. Our desire is to see change that is directly inspired by them, but also spreading this message of peace to their peers, even those from foreign countries. Peace is very extensive, but it begins with individual persons and then spreads out to the rest of the world, and we are counting on these young people to be great ambassadors of peace. During this festival, messages of peace were shared through different artistic expressions, including songs, dances, visual arts, and testimonies from people who have been involved in peace-building activities. Now, Rwanda is ready to seize opportunities from a new trade agreement expected to be signed between the United States, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Rwanda. The agreement will create opportunities for goods highly demanded on the U.S. market, especially critical minerals and other products. This report is by Enora Gladys.
Critical minerals originating from Rwanda such as tin, tantalum, tungsten, niobium, gold and other products in high demand in the U.S. are set to benefit from customs duty exemptions under the upcoming agreement. This agreement, to be signed between Rwanda and the DRC and the United States after weeks of negotiations, aims to facilitate trade and commerce among these countries, according to Rwanda's Minister of Trade and Industry, Prudence Sebahizi.
There are peace agreements, but there are also trade agreements which were facilitated by the United States. This gives us hope that as we strengthen our regional trade, it could make it easier for us to access the U.S. market.
Players in Rwanda's mining sector say they are ready to take advantage of the opportunities that will come with the new agreement. On the other hand, Rwandan exports to the U.S. recently received a 10% increase in customs duty and tariffs reductions, as provided under the revised U.S. international trade policy. This has also brought benefits to Rwandans already doing business in the American market. The Minister of Trade and Industry also emphasized that the 10% tariff and the customs duty increment on Rwandan exports to the U.S. should not be seen as a challenge, but rather as an opportunity.
Rwanda was included among the countries that will pay 10%, which is still among the lowest rates compared to other countries. That in itself is an opportunity for Rwanda, and we should not be worried about that decision.
The United States ranks among the top 5 countries importing goods from Rwanda, according to the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda. A report from the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda for the first quarter of 2025 shows that Rwanda exported goods worth $10.73 million to the American market between January and March this year. Enora Gladys, RTV News.
Thank you, Enora Gladys. Now, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, economic experts and industrial investors affirm that although there is still a significant gap between imports and exports, this gap is steadily narrowing due to ongoing efforts in trade and investment. We do have a report.
Numbers from the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda show that during April, May and June, comprising the second quarter of 2025, the value of Rwanda's exports fell by 35.64%, amounting to $346.04 million, down from $537.64 million during the same quarter in 2024. On the other hand, imports also decreased by 20.5% in the second quarter, totaling $1,247.39 million compared to $1,568.97 million during the same period last year. Some industrial investors state that they are now producing more locally, including products that were previously imported. For example, I used to bring in 12 to 15 truckloads of goods from various East African countries, but since we launched Super One, I haven't imported any plastic materials, and even other traders who used to import them from abroad now buy everything from Super One. A report by the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda also indicates that re-exporting goods imported into Rwanda and then re-exported to regional markets declined by 13.17%, reaching $142.41 million, which is approximately 205 billion Rwandan francs. Some of these re-exported goods include diesel and petrol, which attract investors interested in fuel storage facilities, as well as large machinery used for irrigation and firefighting that are imported and then shipped to regional markets.
We import from different countries. We import Dubai, UK, China. Then we can sell it in our local customers, and we can export to East Africa country. we can export to Uganda, Burundi, Congo, Tanzania, and Kenya.
Many investors come in Rwanda in this fuel sector. Also, they are targeting the regional market in the construction of warehouse, this depot. Many investors are interested because they see like Rwanda as a center of region in terms of the business. So to export, it is easier, even in a way of security, in a way of transparency. So this process of export, it has impact on a balance of payment, on a country, even on economic development.
Economic expert François Kanimba notes that the gap between imports and exports is clearly narrowing. To be frank, when you look at the money coming from exports, whether from simple goods or high-value products, it has really increased significantly. At the same time, many of our imports are materials and equipment for the infrastructure projects I mentioned, such as building roads or other essential facilities in various sectors, which require large amounts of money. So yes, we do have a trade gap, but the way the gap is being managed and balanced is also evident. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Prudence Sebahizi, says that an annual report on the manufacturing sector is being prepared, which also shows the trade deficit is shrinking. Exports have increased, but the difference between what we export and what we import has also gradually diminished, which means that the trade deficit has generally reduced. The fact that we have added one quota should not worry you, because a single quota does not truly reflect the overall picture of the country. The goods that are imported and then re-exported mostly consist of food products, livestock, petroleum products, and various types of metals, and they are shipped to 5 countries, including neighboring states within the region, other African nations, and the destinations beyond Africa.
Thank you, Olive Nete. We now take a break and return with international news.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo wagira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi hari abamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njye muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko ntashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashije, ariko byarangiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo. Bigereho.
Every journey has a beginning. From nature comes refreshing fruity goodness that keeps you going every day. With every pack complementing life's best moments. Not one, not 2, but 5 different fruity flavors. And this journey keeps giving. Introducing Inyange's new fruity juice flavors, guava and cocktail. Now available at your nearest shop. Always ask for Inyange.
Welcome back from that very short break. Now, on the international scene, cyber attacks have caused disruptions to electronic systems at major European airports, and the attacks were reported at Brussels, Berlin's Bamberg, and London's Heathrow airports. Euronews has the details.
A cyber attack at major airports in Europe, including in Brussels, London, and Berlin, disrupted air traffic and caused delays on Saturday. The cyber attack targeted an external provider that handles airport check-in and boarding systems rather than specific airlines or airports themselves.
We kunnen nog steeds gebruik maken van de computer, maar ze moeten heel wat gegevens handmatig koppelen. Het stoelnummer, de bagage en ook boardingpasses zullen door sommigen handmatig moeten ingevuld worden. Ja, dus dat is een complexer systeem dan gebruikelijk, wat zorgt helaas voor vertragingen en annuleringen van vluchten.
Brussels Airport says the incident had a large impact on flight schedules, with longer waiting times, several delays and some flight cancellations. Authorities at Berlin's Brandenburg Airport said operators had cut off connections to the affected systems on Friday. The airport did not face any cancellations but did warn passengers for delays. Meanwhile, London Heathrow Airport, Europe's busiest, also reported no cancellations and said disruptions had been minimal.
With that report, we come to the end of tonight's news. My name is William Evans. Tomorrow you have an opportunity to be part of what is happening in Kigali, the UCI World Championship. Have a good night, goodbye and good luck.